You're on the clock with Tyler Jennings and Jared Perkins, a Prospects Live podcast for everything MLB draft related. Join us as we discuss the biggest stories from college and high school baseball, bring you interviews from your favorite draft prospects, and break down live looks with Prospects Live analysis across the nation. Get ready, because you're on the clock with Tyler Jennings and Jared Perkins.
All righty, welcome to another episode on the clock. I'm Jared Perkins. That's a baseball, and we are ready to talk week 8 of the college baseball season. Tyler might be there somewhere, but who knows? And there, there he is. What is going on, Tyler?
Is that gonna be? I think that's gonna be our new bit every single weekend now. So
You just disappeared on camera.
No, disappear on camera. Put something else in front of it. Have some fun.
What pitch was that? What grip? What pitch grip?
Barely hanging onto the baseball. Does that count for anything?
Yeah, you make a new pitch. That's all you got to do.
There you go. Little cutter.
Nice.
Love
that. We're starting off strong here. It's another late night episode, so forgive us if we go on tangents because it's probably going to happen. Both of us had live looks this weekend. Let's get into those a little bit before we get into some of the news stories. You had a big series, South Carolina and Texas A&M. Texas A&M waxed South Carolina, basically. Dropped South Carolina out of the top 25. What do you got from that?
Yeah. I was talking with a scout Sunday about South Carolina's team, and it's just really a lot of guys that are like first base DH types, like kind of big, bulky, doesn't really have a bunch of value to it. And it's kind of a little tough to kind of project most of those guys. Like Ethan Petrie, apart from the homer that he had Sunday, kind of did look a little bit rough. It was kind of a subpar outing, not a very good runner. His athleticism looks a bit better in right field, but I still think he's a first baseman long term.
Yeah.
But just in general, I think Texas A&M had a lot more firepower up and down that lineup. The pitching was a lot better. Ryan Prager went 6th in the third with 12 strikeouts and no walks.
Love that.
Ooh, excuse me. Shane Sadeo went 4 in the third shutout on Saturday in relief of Tanner Jones, who's been a kind of like a little pop-up guy this year. Came in from Jacksonville State, has really turned into that solid Saturday guy. Justin Lampkin got roughed up a little bit, and A&M kind of played behind the A-ball on Sunday. Dropped that game 6-5, but I just really like the top 3 of what A&M has with Grahovic, who, you tell me that's a freshman. I tell you, look at the way that guy is built, and it's 6'2", 220. He looks like he's a junior already. Like it's ridiculous how built that kid is. Jace Laviolette, which we already know, big bopper, probably the best bat mixers class, and then Braden Montgomery, who 5 hits this weekend, no home runs. He didn't extend his home run streak, but I think he's legitimate top 5 talent at this point.
Love that. I think we do have some footage here. Let's see what we got here first. We're going to throw these out in random. That's Petrie home run right there. This was Oppo, what was it, 109, I think?
Yeah, 109 off the bat. It barely got out. I mean, it hit.
Yeah, top 10. I saw the other video of it.
Yeah, it was like it bounced off the yellow and kind of hit something back there. We couldn't tell what it was, but I think Schlafnagel tried to argue it, but I mean, it was over the fence at that point.
Yeah.
But the raw power ability that he has, man, just going up at 109,
it's nuts.
Pretty impressive.
All right, we got one more here. Let's see what we got. Watch me play the same one. Who knows? We'll find out.
That's how you know something.
Yep. There it is.
That
was going to happen. When you don't have things labeled, this is what happens. All right, here we go. The ball just loud off his bat.
Yeah, that was even the hardest hit ball he had this weekend.
I know. I saw the 116. Right,
yeah,
at one point.
So that pitch right there was the 110 home run that he hit in like the 7th or 8th inning yesterday.
For those listening, we're talking about Jace Laviolette, from Texas A&M, probably the number 1 overall in 2025.
Maybe not number 1, but who knows?
Well, top college guy.
We'll go with that.
That's what I was going for.
So yeah, he hit that ball at 110, went directly center field. But there was a double early on I think it was a Friday game. 116. 116. Man, that's hardest hit ball of the weekend. And it really didn't even look like it was that powerful off the bat until I saw the reading. Really just does a good job of putting his body into the swing there. Like, it's all methodical, works really well.
It's beautiful watching it left-handed.
Oh, yeah. And the fact that he's like 6'5", 235, or maybe even bigger than that. There's hitterish traits there. He doesn't really chase a whole bunch. He likes to walk. I really do dig the profile. He does play some center, some left field. He's actually a lot faster for his size, considering, he's as big as he is.
Dude.
Yeah. But I think at the end of the day, it might be a left fielder just because the arm's not strong enough. But like, at the same time, if it's the kind of bat that like Wyatt Langford is at this point, where his arm kind of held him back from being a center fielder, I think you take that. But I don't know if Laviolette's on that same level at this point. It's too early to tell. But with Jace, it's just like big power, good enough hit tool to where like, okay, I think somebody pops this guy either top 5 or top 10 next year, depending on how everything kind of shakes out, because it's really not a strong college class next year. The prep class is a lot better, and it's kind of a reverse from this year.
Love that. Last video we got, I think this guy was the star of the show. Went 6 1/3 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned, 12 strikeouts. Ryan Prager. We're gonna pull up the 12 strikeout video here. Get that a little bit quieter so we can hear Tyler.
Very, very good outing. Really not much more I could say. Like, the weird thing with Prager is kind of that very high slot, and that kind of goes against you when you have a fastball like him, where steep angle, kind of like 89, 92, didn't really have a ton of velo, but it played up from the fact that it had like 20 plus inches of vertical carry from that kind of slot. There's some deception there, some crossfire from that high release. The thing that really stood out to me was the slider command. The slider command was gorgeous throughout the outing, and it was like 82, 84. Had some late bite to it, kind of more like not like a bullet pitch, but it had minimal vert. It had some sweep late, maybe like 5 to 6 inches. Not quite a sweeper, but kind of in that fold of like a pretty good little cutter slider mix. And the changeup, I think the change was the best pitch in his arsenal. It kind of really dove to the ground pretty quickly. A lot of depth to it. Really sold it well too from the high slot. And it's like a Vulcan change is what their student managers told me. So it's not quite a split, but it's a Vulcan, and it was just diabolical. I think it was a 55, sliders closer to 55, and I think the fastball you could probably put a 50 on with the fact that he's got so much carry to it, and that'll drop it in pro ball. Maybe get closer to at least 20 inches, maybe a little less, but still a lot of carry. But I'm interested to see how that plays at the next level, because I don't know if I really feel confident to put a 50 on it. I'd like to see some more velo if I want to do that, especially since he just maxed out at 92. It's not like it's a flamethrower by any means, but Prager, I think this is a guy that's kind of solidified himself as a top 5 round pick, and I think somebody's going to have some fun with him if he's in like a Cleveland kind of development program.
Love
that'll be fun, because they have some of the like over the top guys like Gavin Williams. Gavin Williams was an over the top guy at ECU.
They tend to get a lot of those low 90s guys too.
Yeah, and like Gavin Williams wasn't low 90s guys.
No. I know. I was thinking like Logan Allen and some others.
Parker Messick. Messick's a bit of a cool development story too right now. Cleveland just does a very good job of arms, and I think that would be a perfect fit for him.
Yeah, love that. Is there anything else that stuck out for you from that series?
Braden Montgomery, #good.
Yeah. Top 5 pick.
Yeah, I think at this point he had 5 hits on the weekend, didn't homer like I said earlier, but his BP, man, both sides, it's just a professional batting practice. Didn't see the Friday one. For what it's worth, shout out Chris Clegg. He took me out he both took me to the ballpark and also gave me some food.
Nice.
Shout out to you. And he was just a great guy to kind of have around and talk some baseball with too. So shout out to him. But with Braden, I got told he peppered the right field fence a few times on Friday's BP. But then I showed up Saturday and Sunday, and it's a lot of loud line drives from the left side. And they're kind of the same from the right side. There's some usable power there. He really toyed with the batter's eye in center field numerous times from the right side. And I do think that he's going to be a switch hitter at some up to the next level. I don't know if he stays a switch hitter long term. The righty swing does have some warts. If there's not a little off like there is with the left-handed swing, and it's just stupid bat speed from the left side, man.
Yeah.
I mean, just absolutely ridiculous. And I think he had a backside single at 109. Walked quite a bit, had a couple strikeouts, but nothing too detrimental. I think it was only like 2 or 3 strikeouts on the weekend compared to like 3 or 4 walks, something like that.
That's good. Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't the loudest outing. And then obviously, like we've mentioned in the past, the absolute bazooka he has for a freaking right arm in right field, man. There was one play where he did bobble the ball, but I definitely believe that if he didn't bobble that ball, the runner going to the plate was out by half the baseline. Like he uncorked it after he bobbled it, and it almost still beat the runner to the plate, but he overthrew it. So just a ton of arm strength too. And like some of the routes were a bit finicky. Like he could probably make some critiques about it. But I think generally speaking, I think he's a pretty solid right fielder. I'm sold. It's a pretty solid like chance that he's somewhere in the top 5, and if he falls out, it's not far after 5.
Yeah. If he does fall out, a team I would like to see him take at 6 is Kansas City Royals.
Yeah, only the team that you're wearing on your head right now.
It's just the thing is the Royals have been pretty good at developing bats with Drew Saylor and others at that helm of that hitting development. So take a guy like that, it could work out pretty well.
Don't do that to the Royals fans. They'll tell you you're a glass half full kind of clown.
Yeah. Yep. For me, I got out to Indiana versus Maryland. Only saw 2 to 3 games. Devin Taylor was the big prize probably to see on the Indiana team for 2025. Carter Matheson was there as well. Tyler Cerny also there for Indiana. Brock Tibbetts was hurt, so he did not play the series. Broke his streak of like continuous games. So he was out the entire series, so I didn't get to catch any of him. Maryland, not a ton of draft talent. Chris Hokopian looks good as a freshman for the future drafts. Kevin Keister is really a guy that impressed me from Maryland. Plays shortstop really well, has good range to his right and left. Quick hands, really good instincts. That's okay. It's decent. He's not going to strike out a ton. Puts the ball in play. I think he's a guy who's going to be like a good senior sign for somebody. Might not get taken in the first 20 rounds. Because he could be an easy sign at a cheap rate. But a guy I think a team will take just based on what I saw at shortstop and just heard some of the scouts talking about him in the background. They really seem to like his range out there at shortstop. He's a guy who's probably going to stick there. So he's someone I kind of really liked in this series.
By the way, I know you mentioned top 20 rounds. You know there's only 20 rounds in the draft, right?
Sorry, yeah, that's what I meant.
Sorry, I had to say something on that.
Yeah, I heard 20 rounds of the draft, not the top 20 rounds.
Because I was sitting here like, wait, we're 40 again? I didn't know this. That'd be great. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I will admit, like the top 40, the 40 round drafts were a bit of a drag.
Oh, yeah. You get down there and you're like, you don't know who the hell's going.
Yeah, so I do believe like having the 20 rounds is a safe medium, in my opinion. Not too many guys. You start to kind of run into some day 2 senior signs or like some money savers. There's a lot more draft strategy involved too when you think about that. Yeah. So I don't know. I enjoy it. I think MLB is kind of Major League Baseball has kind of struck a good deal on that one. But if they go any lower than 20, I'm sorry. They're making a mistake on that one.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I guess he was one. And then you have on Maryland's side, too, Elijah Lambros. Great defensively, good speed, hit tool, not so good. Just he's batting at the bottom of the lineup now. I kind of think I texted you. I wasn't quite sure how he hit 14 home runs last year, just watching him. But he's just a guy. He's a gamer, which is fun to watch. Like once he's on base, and if he actually gets on base, like he's trying to make things happen. So there's a lot of positives to a game that I could see a team liking, but the hit tool is just really far behind the rest of the game.
And you wanted to put him on your All-American list to start.
That was a joke.
I'm outing you.
Yeah, that's fine. For the Indiana guys, Devin Taylor did not have a great weekend. I believe he went 0 for 6 in the first game. Second game, I think he may have been 1 for 6, something like that. Also, I say he's 1 for 6 because Maryland put up 27 runs in 2 games in the first 2 games of this series, which is absolutely nuts. Want to pull up his video. I will say, Tyler, to your benefit, Devin Taylor did go 2 for 3 with a home run on Sunday when I was not there. So
I'm looking at it right now.
So you got that going for you. Well, let's put up the footage from the first 2 days. There was a lot of watching pitches, a lot of swing and miss, a lot of not hard hit balls. He just was not getting barrel to ball. That was the biggest struggle for him. Everything he hit just seemed to be soft contact. Just could not get quick and straight to the ball, like right there. Another ground ball out. It just, I don't know if it was because the weather was terrible. It was really cold. Like it was extremely cold out there on Friday night, the night he went 0 for 6. And then Saturday wasn't much better. It was warmer, but it was still freezing cold. And the bats kind of struggled for most people.
That was a nice little struck liner there opposite field.
Yeah. But it still was like almost a pop out.
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing with Taylor is like, he does swing about average, does chase a little bit more than you'd like to see, and there's some swing and miss there, but also walks more than he strikes out. I think he's a legit power speed threat. I think I like him more than some of the other bats in next year's class. Like, I've mentioned it before, Cam Cannarella's approach has really changed a lot since last year. Last year he was really patient and didn't chase a lot. Now he's kind of turned into a bit of a free swinger and is chasing at like a 30% clip, which is not great, but there is some more power there, so you get some like
also that Keister play. Sorry, this minute.
No, you're good. That was a really good play.
He had a couple of those.
So yeah, I think with Taylor, like, I think he might be the second best college bat in next year's class. That's just me speaking out loud. Nobody's really jumped in. Cannarella's kind of fallen back a little bit, and Petrie's. Sorry to my South Carolina guys. But yeah, it's kind of turned into a little bit of a rough patch for him, but he's still hitting well. Don't get me wrong.
And on Sunday, I will say it was warmer on Sunday, so that 2 for 3 could have been a good reason for it there. But yeah, he just I kind of think about like the Ethan Anderson and the struggles he was having. It was more of like a timing issue, but like Devin just wasn't making contact a lot in this one. So, I mean, and then when he did, it was just very soft contact. So those were kind of where the struggles laid there. Let me see if I can remove this video. There we go. Cool. The other guy that we saw, big guy for the 2024 class, is Connor Foley, right-handed pitcher. He pitched on Saturday for them. Ty Bothwell has been moved to the Friday guy. He was interesting. The velocity was 93 to 95 early on, first and second inning. Showed pretty decent command of the fastball. He was commanding it well. I know command's kind of been one of the issues for him. And this game, he was throwing it well. He was living around the strike zone. Slider looked good. His changeup he kept going to that changeup early and often. It just was the pitch that was getting guys out and getting swing and miss for him in this one. I'll pull up this clip too. But he's quite impressive. I haven't put this one up on YouTube yet, but should be up soon. It just was Maryland could not do anything with his stuff. The velocity does dip. So as he got into like the third and fourth inning, he was about probably 91 to 93. And then like the fourth or the fifth and sixth inning, it was more of like 89 to 91 and maybe would pop with 92 here and there. So the velocity just did not carry through the length of the game. He would lose it on his other pitches too, the slider and the changeup as well. It looked like he had 2 breaking balls almost in this, because there was one that was like sitting in the high 70s, low 80s, and then another one that was in like the mid to upper range. So I don't know if he's picked up a new pitch, or I probably should have asked like the student managers or something.
Yeah, looking at the data from that start, it is just classified as all slider, so maybe he's manipulating the shape of it a little bit. That's at least my takeaway from it. But I think you mentioned it pretty well. The velo dropping. I think Michael Massey's had that same issue as well, where the velo kind of drops across. Maybe once you get to that 50 or 60 pitch barrier. So I think ultimately, I think Foley is kind of more of a relief type arm in the future. Fastball at the upper echelon, man, at that velocity can be downright lethal with how much carry it is. And I think you mentioned the changeup too. It had 8 swing and misses against it on what was it, Saturday?
Yeah, Saturday.
So yeah, I like the arm. I like the arm talent. Where would you put him in the draft personally? Like, what grade would you put on that?
Like for draft grade?
Yeah.
Are you thinking like what round or like future value?
Like, what round would you kind of like put him in? And I'm kind of putting you on the spot here.
No, that's fine.
Because you do it to me all the time. But like, I'm kind of just interested to see like what round would you kind of specifically take Foley in? Do you think he's like a 5th rounder, 6th rounder, somewhere in there?
Yeah, I was thinking like in the 4th to 5th potentially if someone wanted to go a little higher, but I don't think if like I don't know, you're taking a reliever basically and hoping that he can sit that 94, 95, and then I know he's been up to 98 in the past, and you're kind of hoping that he pops that, right? I don't know. I'd have a hard time seeing him go super high or higher than like the 5th round, just because of that.
Fair enough. And here's my philosophy when it comes to pitchers too. Every pitcher is a reliever until you can teach them how to start.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you kind of start to separate the boys from the men there, essentially. So I think you kind of nailed it on the head where the velo is not going to be there consistently. I think the command kind of isn't the greatest too. I've already seen 2 hit by pitches here.
Yeah, he had 3, I think, on the weekend or on the start. So
and I think you walked 3 as well, I think. So
yeah.
Definitely it's a good mold to work with. I think if you're like Tampa or Cleveland or maybe even Milwaukee, I think Milwaukee would be a good fit for him. Trying to think of like another good pitching dev team.
And that's the thing though, like
Yankees could be a good one.
Yeah. The thing I was gonna say about Foley is like early on the command was there, and then it's like as he was getting tired and he was losing the velo and he lost more confidence in the fastball, and he was going to the changeup kind of early and often, but the later you got into the game, he was really going to the off speed more. At least it seemed like it, because he just didn't have the same confidence he did in his fastball. And then that's when he started walking more guys.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that's all I had for this series. Trying to think if there's anybody else, but Carter Matheson looked fine. Forgot about him.
I love the casual mentions. Like, yeah, he looked fine.
Yeah, he was good. Yeah, decent. Your typical like center fielder. He can play the position really well. Bat's okay. Like a bat's pretty good. It's decent, but not a ton of power there. Definitely a doubles guy.
Love me some doubles, man. Double cheeseburgers.
Yeah. What's Matheson on the board? I can't even remember.
I think we just left him off the top 200. If not, he was just on. So he's kind of like that back 25 range, I think.
He's got some swing and miss. A lot of chase.
Yeah, it's a lot rotational too. It's kind of like a rotational swing with he kind of relies on rotating quickly and firing the hips more than he does bat speed, in my opinion. And just the hit tool hasn't really turned a corner for me like I was hoping it would, because I do like Matheson quite a bit.
Yeah. He's hit quite a few home runs when he can get into one.
Yeah. But he's also carrying, let me pull this up here.
Chase rates you're looking at?
Yes, I am. I wish I had this up beforehand before we talked about it. But un momento, por favor. Hey, he doesn't chase a lot. It's 18% chase rate, but he does have some swing and miss to it, especially on like changeups. Changeups are a big bugaboo, but he doesn't have much trouble with spin, handles fastballs. So I think at the end of the day, he should be fine with some pull side power. But I mean, kind of want to see a bit more of a performance there, personally.
Yeah, makes sense. We got some college stories to get into too. Now that we've gone through the live looks, we got 3 teams out of the top 25: LSU, South Carolina, and the school that stinks, NC State. For those who don't know, Tyler is an NC State fan.
I think I've already made it clear on multiple episodes I'm a State fan. Thank you, Jared.
Yeah, just for the new listeners that don't know, Tyler is an NC State fan.
I had double Final Fours. I do not care at this point.
Did the men's and women's win those games?
We don't talk about that.
Oh, okay.
We just went to the Final Four, man. That's all that matters.
Yeah, but LSU seems like they're having another championship hangover. But I also lost a ton of talent. We talked about them a little bit in the last podcast, so I don't think we have to dive too much into that. You saw South Carolina, so where do you? I know you talked a little bit about them having kind of first base DH only type bats. Is there something with the rotation, other things that you're kind of seeing with that team?
There's definitely a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
Trying to think, there's a couple of guys that I heard that do have injuries that are kind of working out. Cole Messina has kind of turned. He played Friday, hit a ball at 113 for a double, which I had that video somewhere. I don't know if I'm ever going to upload it, but it'll be part of the montage that we do. When I get closer to putting the reports out. But he didn't play the rest of the series because of concussion. So he's on the mend right now. And there's a couple other guys that really just haven't been healthy, and it kind of sucks for them. There was an impressive, I think it was a freshman, Joey Wittig, that was pitching on either Friday night or Saturday. Had to leave the game early. It did not look good, but the stuff beforehand was pretty nasty.
Yeah.
Also, you're missing Jerzenbeck, who's been injured all year. Eli Jones wasn't effective on Friday night. A&M really got on the board early and often. They hung up 5, I do believe, on Eli Jones. In the first inning alone, they batted around. And then against Tyler Pitzer, they put up 3 in the first inning. But admittedly, if there's some guy that I want to give some praise, Roman Kimball, my friends. He
Former on the Clockcast, by the way.
Yes. He pitched pretty well. I do like the fastball quite a bit. Again, I really don't know if somebody's going to be willing to pay him because command still is a bit sketchy. And I know Roman did talk about the command was kind of the last thing he's still working on to get back from TJ because he did kind of rush back a little bit.
Yeah.
So I do kind of wonder, do you let that kid come back to school, let him get another year, be one of the better seniors in the country next year? Or do you pay for the fact that it's a sub 5-foot release with a flat approach angle and it's going to miss bats if he commands it well? Like, that fastball is going to make you some money, man.
Yeah, that's because the thing is, like, if you sign him now, you're like, well, we can probably work out those kinks on our own rather than send him back to South Carolina to do it.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens, but I do like Kimball's fastball quite a bit. When that thing's on, man,
real nice.
Is it ugly? It is ugly for hitters, man.
Love that. The last guy's team we should talk about is NC State. What do you got there? That's your squad.
I just don't know how they're not very good on the road. They got swept by Georgia Tech a couple weeks ago, and then now they get swept by Louisville, who are not the greatest in the ACC right now. And this is coming off a homestand where they beat Duke, which was a very good ranked win. And then they swept Notre Dame, I do believe, come back in 2-3, walked off. I know the Sunday game. I don't know if they walked off the Saturday game. I think they did. So yeah, kind of frustrating. I think it's definitely going to be a situation where far down the line, how do they bounce back on the road? Because I know they got some really tough road series coming up. Yeah. So it'll be interesting. It'll be very interesting to see how they kind of bounce back from that. But I know, like, just watching them at home, they're definitely a different team. And like, they always hit. They always hit, man. Like, it's kind of like Virginia, where they're not as loaded, but you got guys that are always can perform well. I think back to the day, like 2021, when they went to Omaha, that entire lineup was taken in the draft, basically.
Was that the Tommy Tanks day?
No, that was the year after.
Got it.
This was like Austin Murr, Tyler McDonough, Terrell Tatum, those guys that were really just start 1-9 in the ACC, find a way to make yourself into the ACC title game, and then go to Omaha. That was a fun team to follow, man.
Yeah. And as much as I talk crap about NC State, only because you're a fan, that's the only reason I do it. I really want them to kind of turn it around. They're a fun team to watch.
Dude, you make fun of me for being a Panthers fan. I don't make fun of you for being a Royals fan all that much. Like, come on, there's got to be some balance here, man.
What's your baseball team? Major League? Oh, yeah, that's fine. See, I won't make fun of you for that one.
Okay, cool. At least we have a boundary there. We have a boundary set.
Yeah. The Panthers, it was just sad to watch last year, and I think I felt more bad for you than anything.
As you continue to make fun of me every single week.
Yeah. Well, you also put yourself in that situation because you came in complaining about the Panthers to start.
Yeah, I know. I had the name on here as fire David Tepper to the sun, and I did change it. I did change it for the people, but I still do want David Tepper.
It is the draft nerd now, so in case anybody's wondering.
Very big nerd. Very big nerd.
Next story we got to get to. You wanted to talk a little bit about Cam Leiter and kind of some of the pitch limitations or innings limitations that he's got.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's really like innings limits per se, but like Florida State's had a bit of a funky schedule recently where like I believe the Clemson series was a doubleheader on Saturday because of rain. Easter Sunday, obviously, they didn't play. I think the only team in the ACC that did play was Wake Forest, UNC. So he's kind of like pitched on short rest, pitched on long rest. It's not been a consistent schedule. And I don't think he felt 100% after his last outing against Louisville. So they kind of opted to skip him for the series in Boston College. Jamie Arnold threw 7 innings, 9 strikeouts, 1 walk on Friday. Connor Whitaker threw on Saturday. I don't know who threw on Sunday. But I think Cam Leiter's going to be back in short order. But I like the precaution that they're taking with an arm like that because this is a kid that has some of the best stuff in next year's class. But command's just not been there yet so far. But definitely taking that step forward and putting your foot down and kind of saying it's like, hey, you're kind of pitching out of sync. We're trying to make sure that you're healthy. I like that move for Coach Jarrett, and I think it could pay dividends. They do play Miami next week, I do believe, or this upcoming weekend.
Well, so it's smart because, like, the kid's a freshman, right?
And
sophomore, yeah. It's not his draft year, so it's just like take it easy on him. It's best for him and like the team too, right? Because they need him in order to go on a run.
Yeah, and like I don't even think draft year kind of really equates into that at all either. Like I think at the end of the day, like Blade Tidwell didn't come back until mid-year because he wasn't fully healthy, and Vitello wasn't gonna push him back too quickly because that's an arm that you kind of need for the stretch run, whether or not you're a prospect or not. So there's definitely ways to look at it from that perspective, but at the end of the day, this is a sophomore that you just want to keep healthy and keep him fresh. And I think what Link Jarrett did is a very, very good job in management of your pitchers, which is great, in my opinion, trying to keep them healthy, especially with the recent rash of injuries we've had at the major league level, like Spencer Strider's now on the IL, Garrett Cole, there's Shane Bieber's out for the year with TJ.
Did you see Framber Valdez was scratched tonight?
I've been at work since 3:00, dude. Why'd you drop it on me now?
Elbow soreness. They came out.
Oh boy.
Did not make his start. So we got another ace down.
Something's gonna happen here with it would be somewhere, some shape or form. I don't know what. I don't per se think the pitch clock's the issue.
No.
I don't think so. Like
it's a culmination of things, right?
Yeah,
there's a lot of different factors that are at play.
Yeah, there's a lot more factors involved in terms of how injuries kind of go along like that. Like it could be, looking at it from a delivery perspective, is there something out of sync that could potentially cause this? Is the arm late? Is there too much stress on the arm, etc.? There's also a thing where I saw like the UCL isn't fully developed until you're 26 or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's just wear and tear from years of just looking at some of the kids now that are throwing mid-90s. Like it's a little scary to think about.
Yeah.
It's a little scary to think about, but I don't think the pitch clock should be the scapegoat here, in my opinion.
No, and Justin Verlander got interviewed about it, and he gave a pretty good response. He's like, everybody's trying to throw the ball harder. Everybody's trying to make this ball spin as hard as it can. He's like, that's just what's going to happen. He's like, the pitch clock, yeah, sure, maybe it plays a factor. Not having the sticky stuff, sure, maybe it plays a factor. But, like, everybody's training to throw harder and spin the ball harder. Mm-hmm. Everybody is not taking time off like they used to in the off season. They're going and throwing bullpens because, like, if you just post a clip on Twitter and you're popping a 99 or whatever it is, someone's going to sign you. They don't care about the command. They don't care where that 99 is going. They'll probably give you a shot. So it's just it's just a big, giant culmination of different factors that are coming together that's causing this.
Yeah. However, there is a team that does care about how hard you throw. And it's the Nationals because they don't care about how hard you throw a ball for.
They don't. They had it in their bullpen in case anyone was wondering.
Yarlin Susana, best of luck, buddy.
Yeah, have fun with that one. The development. Oh, should we talk about the Nationals development in the newly swing and miss Dylan Cruz? No.
I think so. Here's my thing on Dylan Cruz. There was definitely a little thing that we kind of looked at when comparing him and Langford. Dylan Cruz's not chase rate, but like end zone contact rate was not as good as what it was with Langford, I do believe, or is out of zone. I can't remember which one it is, but I know there was one thing that we talked about last year where Langford was superior in it. So it doesn't kind of surprise me that Cruz is starting to struggle a little bit.
Yeah.
Let me bring up his data from 2023 because Tyler doesn't have his stuff together. It's a Monday night. It's 10:15. Let's see. Yes, 2023. There was some swing and miss issues last year. It was like a 23% swing and miss rate. He doesn't chase much. I'll give him that much. But there was some strikeout issues there. Had 45 strikeouts across the year, which is a bit more than you'd like to see from a guy of his caliber. But
yeah,
I think at the end of the day, this kind of felt like it was going to happen once we kind of talked about that. Again, it's either in zone contact rate or out of the zone swing rate or something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but Langford had him by a solid 20% clip on it, and it was pretty impressive to look at.
It's early, but the start of the season, he's hitting 0.77 with 7 strikeouts and 13 at bats.
Okay, cool. Small sample size. He'll turn it around probably.
No, I know. Well, everybody was looking at the spring training stats too, and they're like, "Oh, he's striking out over 30% of the time." I mean, it's his first professional spring training as like a 22-year-old. So
yeah, I was gonna say
cut him some slack.
He's 22. Cut him a lot of slack. Actually,
gotta love the pressure that comes with being a number 2 overall pick, basically.
Absolutely, and plus they're starting him at Double-A.
The Nationals development. I don't want to like. The Nationals development was always intriguing. Player development. They said did the same thing with. What's that?
I love how you say interesting as you're the closest one to them right now. They're listening in on the podcast like Jared, our FBI agent, is outside your door right now.
Yeah. I mean, we can go on a whole Nationals tangent, but you have some prep arms you want to get into that are potential comp picks.
Yes, sir. Yes, I do. So I'll probably write about these guys at some point, but I find it interesting because we've had this discussion about how this class kind of shapes out. You know, it's a little bit top heavy, but it kind of falls off pretty quickly. The prep side's not fantastic. It's been well noted that this class is not the greatest. But the prep arms, there's some interesting prep arms with some good fastballs that some teams could take advantage of and strategize a little bit with. One team that comes to mind, Milwaukee, they have a first-round pick and the comp round pick that they traded for in the Corbin Burns trade, I do believe. So, yeah, like, kind of thinking about it, the first name that kind of comes to mind, Joey Oki from Iowa. Really, really good fastball. It sits around 92, 94, kind of like near sidearm slot, really low release, lots of carry on it. It's a low launch heater. It's really, really good with a banger slider. It's probably one of the best in the prep class. Braylon Dowdy, a SoCal kid who can really spin the ever-loving hell out of the baseball, man. There's just some really insane spin rates, and it's a separate slider curveball with a decent fastball. It's like low 90s, kind of like a two-seamer, but it plays. And the spin is just a separator on that front. Owen Hall is a very, very fun prep bat. Jesus Christ, Tyler. Prep arm. He was one of my favorites last year at PDP. We bumped an 8, had some pretty good off-speed stuff, but just couldn't command it quite as well. This spring, he's been 93, 97, has an upper 80s cutter and upper 80s splitter, as well as like a not softer slider, but like a 82, 84 mile an hour slider. I'm interested to see kind of like how that plays because the fastball really misses a ton of bats. Really plays well up in zone, really does well. Ryan Sloan's another guy that could be in that mode as well, where like, okay, it's kind of like a buzzsaw fastball where it bores down in the hands. It's going to be a bat or a pitch that's really going to splinter a lot of bats, but like the changeup's really good. The slider looks pretty good as well. And like Duncan Marston as well. Duncan Marston is another guy that we're like, yes, he's old, he's committed to Wake, has some previous injuries, had TJ last year, but pretty easy delivery. He's been in the mid 90s, looks good, has a good breaking ball as well. We get to see him this week in HSI. Starts Wednesday. Excited for that. Me and Harris will be there. I probably won't be there all week. I think Harris is going to be there for the whole week. But I'll be there Wednesday. Thursday, we're kind of looking at the weather. The weather doesn't look great, but
don't love that. I'll be in Ireland, so weather will not be great.
You didn't have to rub that in, man. You really didn't.
I will not be at this prep tournament, but
yeah. But I mean, I'll probably leave Friday, go to Knoxville for LSU, Tennessee. But like, it's an intriguing crop of players this year. Bryce Rayner is going to be there. I'm interested to see how that bat and both the bat and the arm has kind of turned into. I've never seen him pitch. Yeah. Never seen him pitch, but apparently it's really good.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
And the bat's gotten better. And like it's a Corona High School. Ethan Shacklebain, Self Hernandez, Billy Carlson. There's someone else on that team I'm kind of forgetting at the moment.
Which Corona High School is it? It's California or?
Yeah, California.
There's one in Arizona too, so that's why I was asking.
Yeah, Chaparral is the same way. Like Braylon Dowdy's a Chaparral kid, but it's a SoCal. And then Chaparral in Arizona has Chris Newstrom, I think. And
then, come on, people, come up with different names for schools. Stop getting us confused.
Right? Just be like me. Have your town. Have the school named after your town.
Yeah.
Please.
Love that. Well, we'll have tons of content coming for you, coming that way. I was going to do some on the clock rapid fire questions, but we're running on 40 minutes here. So we really want to get to an awesome interview we have with Auburn pitching coach Everett Teaford. Really great guy. We sat down with him for about 15 minutes. He just gave us some insights on Auburn's awful SEC schedule that they had to start the year, and some of the things he's looking forward to with his pitching staff. So I think you're really going to enjoy that one. But before we turn it over to that, Tyler, is there anything everybody should be checking out on the Prospects Live website?
Top 200 still out there. Still like
go get it.
Yes, there's a paywall. However, it is worth it for both us and you as the reader. So go out there, pay the $5, pay the $10, do whatever you want to do, man. I had a lot of fun building that with Rekka, Will, all the guys here. Definitely check that out. And then, of course, videos are coming up, obviously. Just posted the whole Clemson Duke series. I've got UNC Georgia Tech, so Drew Burr's Vance Honeycutt's coming up. And then, of course, going to the Virginia Bats. And then, obviously, what we just had this past weekend with Braden Montgomery, J.S. Laviolette, all those guys. It's go time. I'm really excited for the rest of the month, and then of course tournament time's coming up soon. So we're inching closer to the draft. We'll probably have a mock draft here coming out soon. Not sure when, but it's definitely something we're going to talk about here soon. But apart from that, top 200, check it out, please.
Love it. Tons of incredible content. We'll have live looks articles like Tyler mentioned, tons of video on YouTube. So you got all the content that you need. But without further ado, we're going to get you over that interview with Everett Teaford. All righty, we are back with another incredible interview for On the Clock, powered by Prospects Live. We have Coach Everett Teaford from the Auburn Tigers, pitching coach of the organization. Played with the Kansas City Royals and the Tampa Bay Rays in the major leagues. Coached at the minor league level with the Chicago White Sox as well. Coach, how are you doing today?
Doing pretty good. Just getting ready for another weekend series.
Yeah, we're excited to have you join us. Just for the viewers who don't know you, give a little bit of background on your journey, how you ended up at Auburn as the pitching coach.
Yeah, like you said, got to the big leagues with the Royals, got drafted out of Georgia Southern, played a year in Korea, played a year in Tampa, and then worked in player development for the White Sox, and then was fortunate enough to get this opportunity and took Coach Thompson up on it last summer.
Yeah, I love it. Talk a little bit about coming from a small school, Georgia Southern, and trying to kind of make it in the big leagues. I think that's kind of an interesting journey. Like every player's got a unique way of getting into the major leagues. But did you ever feel like you had a chip on your shoulder just coming from a smaller school?
Yeah, I mean, I was a smaller guy at a smaller school, so I was doubling down on the small stuff. But yeah, I mean, I was 138 pounds when I got to college, and went to Georgia Southern, and Coach Hennon was awesome and gave me an opportunity, and and just said, hey, I don't know what's going to happen, but you'll get a shot here. And that was kind of, I guess, all maybe I needed. But yeah, I mean, I have always lived, I guess, a little bit with the chip on my shoulder. And I think it has helped drive me to where I've been able to fortunately get. And obviously making it to big leagues was a dream come true. And I think that was a big part of it.
Yeah. And I kind of love how you have that small school journey too. And right, you have all these different experiences. You had a chance to be a scout with the Astros. You worked with the White Sox on the minor league side as a pitching coordinator. And then you also pitched, like you said, in Korea and had an opportunity to kind of experience a different culture. How has like all those different experiences really helped shape you as a coach now? And how do you kind of use those experiences to help mentor the next generation?
Yeah, I think anytime you can expose yourself to a realm of different things and really challenge yourself, when I got done playing, I felt like I had a decent feel of player development, having lived it, and at least if it wasn't like my direct story, I kind of got to watch 200 guys a year get impacted by coaches and what worked, what didn't. So I felt like I lived that for about 10 years. But what I wasn't good at is being able to sit in the stands and go, what is this 18-year-old Latin pitcher in an A-ball going to be? And I'm not sure if I was any good or not, but I felt like that challenged me and helped me grow. I had a lot of people that mentored me, a lot of great scouts that I met along the way, older guys that really helped give me a lot of experience from that standpoint. But I think the more you can be well-rounded and because every kid and every player is so different.
Yeah.
What you say to one may resonate. What you say the same thing to another might be like I'm, speaking some sort of different language. So it really helped me try to broaden my horizons on a multitude of fronts.
Yeah, I love that, Tyler. I know you have some questions. Turn it over to you.
Yeah, so I remember Jared was talking about you worked with the White Sox before the podcast. So I'm kind of curious. I don't want to try and have you like play favorites or anything here, but was there anyone in particular that you really enjoyed working with in that White Sox minor league organization at all?
A lot of the guys. I mean, that's kind of the cool thing. Scouting, you're kind of away from the players and you're just kind of evaluating, and then getting back to working with the guys was a whole lot of fun. I mean, Dylan Cease, Jimmy Lambert, Crochet was was at the alt site with us. I mean, a lot of really good guys in that organization that were a blast to work with. I would say those are three that obviously have a lot of name recognition, but really all the minor league guys, even the guys that don't make it, there's still like a connection to them, and the guys that worked hard or maybe I saw myself in them. It was a blast getting to be part of that organization, and I'm still following and pulling for them. I know they're going through a little bit of a transition, but I got nothing but positive thoughts for Getz and all those guys.
Absolutely, and like Crochet now is turning into the guy we all thought he would be too, and it's great because it's like go through the long list of injuries he's had the past couple of years, and now it's 2 straight starts where it's just like this is the guy we thought he would be at Tennessee.
Yeah. I mean, he, to his credit, there were some things that, we really tried to focus on when we were at the alt site that he really nailed. And he came in with a very open mind, not, hey, I'm 11th overall, I'm 6'5", and I throw 100, so shut up and sit down and watch me do this. He didn't really have that vibe, and the life on his fastball is exponentially better than maybe it was as a sophomore at Tennessee. I know 2020 kind of cut COVID short, and maybe was maybe getting trending that way before the shutdown. But yeah, I mean, him adding that cutter, it's really been I'm really happy for him across the board. And like you said, the injuries and things he's overcome from the adversity standpoint there, I couldn't be happier for him.
Absolutely. And I thought I was muted there for a second. In terms of what you guys have at Auburn now, I've seen you guys got like Cameron Tilley's on board, Hayden Murphy, Zach Crotchfeld. I don't know why I got the names confused there.
That'd be an interesting combo. Put those two together.
Yeah.
Wild guy.
But just looking at those guys, like that's a pretty good crop of arms to have, especially for next year when they're draft eligible. Kind of talk about those guys a little bit because I'm intrigued by a few of them.
Yeah, we do. I do feel like we have a good amount of arm talent here. There's no doubt about that. I think the one thing that, we're going through some bumps and bruises. SEC play has been, let's just say, not very kind to us. Played, 3 teams, and now we're going on our 4th in the top 6 in the country over the past 4 weeks. So it's been, we've lost some really tight one-run games where you could have drawn it up a lot of different ways. But yeah, the arm talent's there. We just got to get them doing a little bit more as far as the little things, getting strike one, landing breaking balls behind in counts, or landing breaking balls in general. Tilly's done a great job. The poise that he has seems way better than your typical freshman. He's got just a great moxie to him. Hayden and Crotch were really good last night, and UAB in a midweek outing, and their fastballs have come around. But it's still doing the little things that they kind of got to refine. But the raw abilities, to your point, are absolutely there. We just gotta do the little fundamentals of pitching maybe a little bit better than we have been.
Yeah, and you mentioned that SEC slate. Like, what god did you guys piss off to get that?
Dude, I don't know. I must have done something. I don't think it's been this life, but maybe in a previous life. You kind of talk about it, and it's like, man, the SEC is a gauntlet, and you're like, from the pro side, you're like, yeah, it's tough. I get it. And then the schedule rolls out, and you're like, holy smokes.
Yeah.
Like, and next weekend we got Kentucky. They're like 17th in the country.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like, that's not even like a breather type of weekend. But you know what? And what I've told these guys, if you want to play in the big leagues, like, you're going to have to get these types of guys out. And it's probably going to be the best hitters at these schools, 1 through 9. They might not have a metal bat in their hands, and they're, might not be a little bit of a different environment, but these are the dudes that you want to get out. Like, this is, if you can't get them out here, you're probably not going to get them out pitching for the Dodgers. So, like, let's take them maybe try to take them off a pedestal a little bit, and be more aggressive, getting ahead in counts and doing those little things. But yeah, we pissed somebody off, because this first 4-week run we're going to learn a lot about ourselves if we can our toughness.
We were saying too, like, regardless of the results, it's not like a ton of the games were blowouts either, right? Like, you were all in most of those games.
Yeah, I mean, Vandy, I would say that was our toughest series. I think we didn't play well defensively, pitching. It was our first real road series. We played some alternate or neutral site games. But yeah, they beat us up pretty good, and they played really well. They did an outstanding job, and we didn't play well enough to win those games. But you look back at, we could have made, 12 inning game against Texas A&M on Saturday that we lost in a close one. Really could have won. We're in Thursday night's game way better. We had some guys that came in that have been really good and weren't as good in a couple of the relief appearances there. And then, Arkansas, we lose 2 one-run games, 1-0 and 6-5 late in the game. So, yeah, you can draw it up a whole different bunch of ways, but we're 1-8, and we got to get better. But the opportunity's there.
Yeah, I think the one question I have too, because you spent your career as a minor or as a relief pitcher in the major leagues, right? And I think for relief pitchers, I think they go through some of the most toughest adversity in the major leagues, just because, like, you never know what your role is going to be. In some sense, you're going to get called up and sent down a ton. And now you talk about Auburn, right? Going into SEC's play, facing some of that adversity. Have you used kind of some of the lessons that you had over your career and overcoming some of that adversity to really help these guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing we talk about is trying to be fearless, and not fear. To your point, the what role am I getting put in?
Yeah,
the one thing I try to tell these guys, I'm like, listen, we are looking at the matchups, and we're not putting you in a position that we think you can fail in. We like what you present to that batter in the batter pitcher matchup. So go out there and have confidence, and really don't worry about where he hits the ball or whatever. Worry about getting strike one. Worry about getting 2 strikes as fast as possible. Like, because there's so much a pitcher can't, in the hitter, obviously you can smoke a ball at a shortstop, but there's a lot of outcomes that you can do everything right and still not have the result you want. But we just haven't done the little things in the process side. But I would say, the one thing, I'm kind of going to my career, and I really try to stay away from it a little bit. But, like, probably the only reason I got to the big leagues was because I was a utility pitcher. I mean, they could start me. I mean, one time I came out of the video room to throw 5 innings when a starter wasn't doing well, and I was supposed to start the next day. So being able to overcome those obstacles and be resilient can take you so far, not only in baseball but in life. So they're learning life lessons as well as baseball lessons right now.
Yeah, I love that. Tyler, I'll turn over to you for some rapid fire questions.
Trying to think. Chase Allsup, Joseph Gonzalez. I remember watching Gonzalez at Collegiate a couple years ago. I thought he was one of the best guys on the team, and obviously it's not been a really easy path for him recently. I know he's had some injuries, and like I really wish he would get back to the form that he was, but like kind of working with those two guys. Yeah. But what stood out with those two guys? Because I know Allsup's kind of turned into like a pretty big draft guy this year. And Gonzalez like figure that stuff out, and I think he's probably one of the more underrated guys in the SEC. So kind of touch on those guys.
Yeah, Chase, I would say right now has been one of, obviously I haven't seen everybody, so I can't say totally, but I would say he's been one of our most unlucky pitchers. There are a couple innings between Vandy and Arkansas where, and he kind of messed up a PFP play, so the luck, him screwing up kind of gets a little bit muddy, but there were a couple plays that get made, and, maybe he's into the sixth with 2 runs, 1 run, or 3 runs, 6 innings. So those starts, like you look at the box score and you go, kind of cringe. It's not as good as you would hoped. But like you go back and watch the video and like, dang, if this play's made, if that play's made, it's a totally different situation. So I'm very optimistic about him. We've added a couple new pitches that I think are really good. One that can kind of give him some more room for error in the strike zone. So I still like I said, I think he's going to get rolling. I really feel good about that. Gonzo, we just kind of sat down the other day, actually. The biggest thing is going back, he was like 65% first pitch strikes, 65-ish% 1-1 count. So getting to 1-2 in 22, and he's like 20% off that clip. So we just got to get him being more aggressive in the strike zone early. Walks have been a little bit of an issue against righties. I think he's trying to be too fine with his sinker. But stuff comparatively, like the slider's a little bit different from 22, but like his fastball is very similar. So we just got to get, once again, just doing the little things and being a little bit better fundamentally. But I still have high hope for those guys throughout the rest of the season.
You and me both.
Yeah.
Love it. So now, since we're called on the clock, we just throw a couple of rapid fire questions at you. I just have 3. Then if Tyler has any more, we'll add on there. First one we always ask is, what's the go-to restaurant in the area for you?
Moe's Barbecue. They have really good wings downtown. Normally, me and Coach Foxhall, a couple other guys will drive the golf cart. That's the great thing about Auburn. Everything's really close. So drive the golf cart down there and get some barbecue and some wings.
Love it. Second question: over under 6 wins for Auburn football next year?
Ooh, over. I'm gonna be that guy. I'll just go ahead and I'm totally on the bandwagon.
Love it.
Both of my neighbors are football coaches, so over, absolutely over.
Love it. The last question I have are, what are some of the go-to passions outside of being on the field and coaching?
We've got a farm, family farm that's about an hour from Auburn, actually, that I love awesome. To take my kids there. But just being with my family, I know it's not. I wish I played more golf, maybe a little bit, but I think hanging with my kids when we get some free time. It might be a corny answer, it might be whatever, but I truly enjoy getting to spend whatever's going on at the field. It's amazing how quickly they can erase anything negative that had gone down that day.
Yeah, it's an awesome perspective, right? Because like you think about it, when you go home, last thing you want is like take all that stuff from the field home with you.
I would like to say my wife would say I'm pretty good at that, but I try to really even if it means staying at the office another 10 minutes to get my mind right. The moment I walk in the door, it's game on to be a dad. I feel like I'm drinking more energy drinks when I leave the field to go get ready for the hype that they're about to bring me. But yeah, I try to do a good job at that because I know that can be not optimal for parenting or being a husband.
Love it. Tyler, you got any rapid fire?
Now I gotta ask, what is the go-to energy drink? I gotta know this.
I'm kind of a Celsius grape guy.
Oh, good.
It's kind of like a grape Fanta, except maybe a little bit healthier. Maybe I'm not positive, but I would say a Celsius grape or cola. That's my fix, I guess.
I haven't had the grape one yet. I gotta try that now. I think they have like the little Astro vibes or like the
Yeah,
strawberry watermelon ones. Those are really good. I will
yeah.
say.
They do a good job with taste, and they at least put enough marketing on their can that makes you feel like you're not crushing your body with something that might be questionable type of supplements, I guess.
Yeah, I'll find out one of these days if my arm starts falling off or something. If it's bad
Yeah.
for me, but
Yeah.
I mean,
Let's,
we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
we will.
Love it. Coach, we can't thank you enough for taking the time to join us. We're wishing you nothing but success for the rest of the year, and we'll be watching, and good luck with everything.
Thank you guys for having me on. Sorry I was a bit of a cluster getting on, but it's great to join you, and thanks for thinking of me.
Yeah, love
Absolutely.
it.